reading out the signals for the Baltimore Colts. Unitas gives to Amici. The Colts are the world champions. Amici scores.
It's amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California won the big game.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes. Unbelievable.
This is Phil Steele.
This is Mike Burnham.
This is Wes Durham.
This is Mike Ashley.
Hi, this is Chuck Foreman, number 44 of the Minnesota Vikings.
Woo, mercy, this is handsome Jimmy Vane, the Boogie Woogie Man.
This is Coach Fry with Virginia Tech football, and you are listening to Big Dog Sports Talk.
Are you ready to rock? Are you ready to roll? Okay, let's do it.
You're in the Doghouse with Rick Watson on Big Dog Sports Talk, presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Join us in the Family Fencing Studios and chime in on the McClellan Chiropractic chat line. He's keeping cool with help from Little River Heating and Air, but this show is straight fire. And now, the big dog, Rick Watson.
Morning. How are you? Thank you. Thank you so much. Week 3. Week 3. This whole after all. Wow. Hope everybody's doing okay wherever you might be. Coming off the first weekend of college football, even though it was week 0. We'll get into a couple of the games. I know you were watching because I know I was. It was exciting. Good stuff. We'll talk about all that. We'll continue to ridicule ESPN for their FPI ratings, which we're going to talk about. High school football week. It is college football week. We'll get into that. Exciting time. Jermaine Ferrell will join me at 7. We were going to be joined by Damian Sordelet from the New York Times, but he has a doctor's appointment now, so he will not be here today. So we'll just be hanging out talking ball. We'd love to hear from you in the McClellan Chiropractic chat room. Join us there. It's always a lot of fun to have everybody there. So make sure you do that. Sorry about my voice there. And we want to bring in and thank Family Fencing. There you go. Family Fencing, our studios here in Reiner, where we have high school football this weekend. Give them a call, 540-200-8294, or you can visit familyfencingnrv.com, Family Fencing. They'll take care of all of your fencing needs. There's a no-dig installation system, no mess. They have aluminum, vinyl, wood, chain link, commercial, residential, agricultural, finance options. Familyfencingnrv.com. Check them out down there. Every day going forward on this program, we are presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. And we're going to be having some folks on here very soon from Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment to talk about all the projects they have going on. Thank you so much, Jonathan Sweet, Tim Miller, the whole crew. Very honored to have that. A lot of people asking me about what's going on. We talk about it a lot. Well, we're going to unveil it here soon with what's happening. And Little River Heating and Air, 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg. Go see Charles Lee. Give him a call. You got a problem with your air units, you want to check them out for the winter coming up, get them serviced. That's who you need to call right there. Little River Heating and Air. They are the absolute best. And I thank them for everything. We will have a new question, by the way. You see it down below. Brought to you by Attorney Ryan Price, 701 West Main Street in Radford. And it's going to be around college football. I'll unveil it a little bit later on. Okay? Give them a call, 540-838-2233 or privatlawoffice.com. And today we are extraordinarily excited to announce a brand new sponsorship partner. Ladies and gentlemen, National Bank. Thank you so much. Yes, National Bank, now a sponsor of BDSC. Thanks to Lara Ramsey, new president, CEO. And we're very excited to to have National Bank as the exclusive banking partner of the program. We're going to have a local star athlete of the week. Now, I need you, by the way, people that are watching in your area. Most of the time, we'd like for it to be a high school athlete, but if it's a collegiate athlete, that's fine too. But we want to pick out and recognize an athlete here in our area, wherever that might be, or if you're outside the area, and that'll be brought to you by National Bank. Plus, they're going to be a sponsor of our high school football show. So thank you so much, Larry. Very excited. I've been banking there for over 30 years. I'm the guy, when you find something you like, you don't usually try to adjust it too much. And they've always taken care of any issues I may have had. They're great, great people. And I got to know a little bit. I don't know him great, but Brad DiNardo, the outgoing president who's retiring, and now you have Larry Ramsey coming in. Good people. They've always taken care of me. And so, yeah, we're very excited about the National Bank joining the program. Thank you so much. Hit us up again in the chat room. We'd love to hear from you. Coming off of the weekend that was college football. And it looked beautiful in Ireland. You know, you had that green grass. It's awesome. Love it. We have way too much plastic field in college football. And I understand it's convenient and it's easy. I know all the rules and I know all the reasons behind it. But, man, I tell you what, there's something about watching a game on grass. It's what Bill talked about. Just the smell and the fragrance and all that stuff. You miss it. You miss a lot when it's on plastic. It's just not the same. It's not the same. So we'll get into that terrific opening game in Ireland. That was a well-played game between two Big 12 teams. Anybody watch Iowa State, Kansas State? And then a not-so-well-played game by, that new ACC member, Stanford, as they lose at the buzzer to Hawaii. We'll talk about that too. And we'll get back into why is Stanford and Cal part of the ACC? By the way, a lot of people want to think, this has been really cool. It's been kind of overwhelming. Now, I showed you this last week from Wayne in Ohio. See my little Bigfoot bottle koozie? I promise you it's a non-alcoholic beverage. So have that. And then Wayne outdid himself. So everybody knows, I'm a big Jeep guy. And I drive a Jeep Gladiator. Somehow he found this. Wayne found this. I don't know how. He found a little tiny, it's not a Matchbox, but you get my point. That's exactly my Jeep. I have a silver Jeep. So he found a little model of my Jeep. So if I ever get a shelf back here, and I'm looking for anyone to build me a shelf, I'm going to have it right back here. Right back here. And, by the way, the greatest thing on the planet when you need it, bacon jerky. So thank you, Wayne and Carol. That's very, very nice of you. You're the best. But that blew me away. That blew me away. Thank you so much. And I got he got me a nice Queen t-shirt. I didn't bring that down. I tried to think of everything, but I couldn't. And Todd Joyce, thank you very much, Todd. Look what Todd got me. Talk about a koozie. Look at that. San Diego Padres, keep everything cool and or warm, little frost buddy. Thank you, Todd. Just got that in the mail over the weekend. Then he sent me a couple generic ones. Yeah, this is awesome. I appreciate it greatly, and I'm taking the time not to try to brag, but I'm just want to thank people. It means a lot. It's really cool. So everybody knows my diet soda addiction, which that's what it is. But now I can, until they become a sponsor, and I don't know why they're not. We got to hide the logo. So thank you, Todd, Wayne, blew me away. Just awesome. Just awesome. And I'm going to put that stuff up, even if I'm not using it that day. So you see back here on the left shoulder and the right shoulder, my goal is to have something that goes behind me. I think there's just enough room. Have like a thin little show. I think BDST legal counsel, Richie Davis, said he was going to invest. I haven't seen it. No follow-up. So in any event, we'll figure all that out. Also, in case you missed it, this was unveiled. This is Virginia Tech's uniform for South Carolina. They're wearing orange, the white helmet, and the all orange. I want to get your thoughts in the McClellan Chiropractic chat room. I'm not a fan of all one solid color uniform. I don't like it. Now, I know what Virginia Tech's trying to do here. They're trying, North Carolina, South Carolina, they wear garnet and black. Virginia Tech wears maroon and orange. And I guess they're trying to differentiate. And I haven't paid any attention. Let's see, did South Carolina do a uniform reveal? I'm sure they did. But Tech's wearing all orange there. What do you think? What do y'all think? You like that? Do you like the all orange? Do you like this solid color? I want to get your thoughts on it. I'm trying to see here. Did they do a uniform reveal? I don't know whether they did or not. I'm assuming they did. I mean, well, if Tech's wearing all orange, then they've got to be wearing their white unis, right? Because you can't wear two dark unis. I guess technically they could wear black and make it look contrastingly cool. I have not seen that yet. I'm looking here. No, I haven't seen it yet. But if I missed it, somebody will show it to me, I'm sure. But Tech wearing that right there, week 1, all orange. Do you like or not like? Now, I'm not against the orange because you know what? That's actually a color in Virginia Tech's official color scheme. Chicago maroon and burnt orange. I'm not a big fan of the white helmet. I wish they'd have worn the maroon helmet. And my own personal taste is I don't like a dark color on a dark color. Now, it's different with white because it's traditional. It's more of a shade. The Miami Dolphins for years wore their home uniform. The Dolphins used to wear all white at home. Matter of fact, there were 2 teams in the NFL, I guess 3 when Joe Gibbs got to Washington. The Cowboys traditionally wear their white. It's not really a gray pant. It was metallic blue is what it was officially back in the day. And then Joe Gibbs, during the Redskins' dominant era in the 80s, they, of course, made the white uni with the burgundy pant, the big old yellow and the white stripes down the side. That became their primary home uniform. Probably the only 3 teams I can think of in the NFL, at least, where white was the prominent uniform. So you kind of grew up with that. And then it became the whole thing with the Cowboys, remember? I guess it's still there. But you wanted them to wear their blue. For a while there, whether it was fact or fiction, there was this whole thing going around to where the Cowboys had a much worse record and lost more games when they wore their blue uniform. So teams would wear their white against them in home games, just they wanted the Cowboys to wear the blue. And that's why the Redskins, one of the reasons they started wearing white at home. So, it's different when it's all white or what have you. But I'm not a huge all dark color fan. I don't hate this. This is, at least it's not black. Good morning, Rodney. Big Al's asking, where's the VT, black or gray? But this is okay. I mean, other than the fact that it's solid, I would have liked it better with white pants with stripes. And by the way, college football, the one thing that bugs me, there's too much of the non-stripe pant that goes with whatever uniform they're revealing. I think football, man, you need stripes. I don't know if it's just lazy. I don't know if it's cheaper just to have a solid color with no stripe. But I wish these pants had stripes. And look, I'm a uniform guy. People dub me the uniform police. It's what you grow up. You're passionate about things in sports. Most of us, as we revealed last week in our BDST Ryan Pry attorney question of the week, fan question of the week, was it all came back a lot of times to uniforms with the teams that we picked in the NFL. Not so much collegiately, but maybe if you didn't pull for a team locally, it was uniform related. Why do they make such a big deal out of uniform reveals? Because they know fans care. Why does Tech release something like this? Because they know fans will get excited and talk about it. Now, I don't know how many people are going to buy these unis. I'm not a jersey guy at all. But you know what? If I were a diehard Tech fan, I would buy it. If I were a jersey guy and I was a Tech guy that had to have it, I would buy that orange jersey. I like that. I think that's a pretty good look. I just don't like it with the orange pant. And it happens just about all the time in high school. I mean, a team wears their dark, they're wearing the same dark color pants. For instance, Radford Bobcats, they have that beautiful black and that old gold. Their uni should always be at home, the black jersey or the gold jersey with the opposite color pant with the black helmet. Black jersey, old gold pant, old gold jersey, black pant. Not the whole Pulaski County. They're burgundy and gold. Burgundy top, gold pant, like in the days of Coach Hicks. It's not rocket science. But I know a lot of times the seniors will pick the unis. A lot of times the captains will pick the unis. It's why we don't ask younger people things in terms of fashion. Have you been to a high school or middle school lately to see what kids are wearing? Leave that to the grown-up people. But in any event, that's what Tech is wearing for South Carolina. It's fine. It's fine. It's good. It's good. But that's their uni. But to me, it doesn't look like Tech football without the maroon helmet. And I know they've had the white helmet for a while. I get it. And all these schools are doing alternate things. It's not going to change. Me being critical of it's not going to change. And ultimately, this isn't offensive. But, all it really is going to matter is, how they play the game, right? How are they going to play the game? And we'll see. But hit me up in the McClellan Chiropractic chat room, and we'll talk about it. But, again, I want to thank Wayne and Todd for the cool stuff. That's awesome. That's awesome. I don't know how he found a little die-cast model of exactly my Jeep. I don't know. Blows me away. All right, and we welcomed National Bank. Jermaine comes up here in about 40 minutes. A lot of stuff going on. Oh, by the way, I always forget too, because there's just a lot, which is great. The fact that there is a lot is good news, right? Hit me up on the BDST text line, 540-391-0788. I had messages coming in all weekend about various things. Thank you for that. But, yeah, if you don't want to be in the chat room, and what I've noticed too, it's a different watcher, viewer chat room than text line most of the time. So that's pretty cool. And as always, please, we need you to spread the word. When you go in, watch every video, even if it's just for a little while. Subscribe because it's absolutely free. It's 100% free. But we got to get this subscription base going. We got to get that pumped up a little bit. So I need your help as always. When I first started this, I mentioned that the audience has always been the central point of the program. And I really need you to be the central point again and go through and help us out in that regard. Okay? Because that's enormous. That's enormous. Every day, go in, like, and watch. You can fast forward if you go back and I know a lot of people are still getting nothing. The majority of the views come later on today because we are early. I understand. I know people are listening when you get in your car. I'm getting a lot of people tell me just put in their YouTube app and boom, it's just like listening to the radio. It's the same thing. With no ads. Just me, talking about sponsors. That's got to be good. That's a win-win for you. But please, subscribe, and tell everyone to subscribe. All right. It is college football Week 0. Now, I know it's not the most attractive thing in the world, but we had 5 FBS games. It's cool because you still get to see teams out there playing. And we'll get into what was really a well-played game, Iowa State and Kansas State, to one that was really not, and a very shaky start for the ACC. Hawaii beat Stanford 23-20. If you didn't stay up later on Saturday and watch, Stanford out there on the island had the game in hand. And I'm going to butcher the name because they had trouble saying it during the broadcast, but the kicker, Kansai Matsuzawa, I think I said it better than they did, hit a 38-yarder, no time remaining. Celebration was on, the dog pile. And Frank Reich, of course, the quarterback for the Bills, longtime NFL coach, taking over Stanford, leads the ACC to an 0-1 start. Reich said, obviously, this is a tough loss. I give Hawaii credit. They played a tough game and made the plays they needed to win the game. We came in off what I thought was a very good week of practice and a very good 6 months of preparation. So this really hurts. I'm not going to lie. It should hurt. It should hurt. It's a bad loss for Stanford, and I have to say it, even though it still doesn't feel like it, for the ACC. And think about it, they had the game won. They had that game so won. I think they were up, I don't know, was it 20-17 or 20? I don't know. They had the ball 4.5 minutes. Quarterback tries a little jump pass out in the flat. And the defensive end for Hawaii reaches up and just pulls it, intercepts it. They come down and they tie it. And then Stanford, horrible clock management at the end. Couldn't get a first down, had to punt, had a kick blocked, and then Hawaii just went right down the field. Right down the field. Right, continued. This stings for all of us, especially the players, but we know this. The message for the team was, you put in that work, not for one game. It's a long season. Yeah, it's going to be a long season in Palo Alto. And Hawaii beats them 23-20. And I understand we talked about this, Stanford and Cal coming in, the market reach, which is what the ACC was thinking, much like the Big Ten when they added Maryland and Rutgers, although that's paid immediate dividends. They don't give a damn about college football at Stanford and Cal anymore. And it's a shame. It's a shame, but they don't. They don't. Tech played out there last year. Remember, you watched that game. Kyron Drones played well. They won that game. How many people were in the stands? Was it like I don't know what they announced, but in reality, probably somewhere around 15, 20,000. They just don't care. You brought 2 non-football schools, and it's a shame because of the tradition. It really both historically. Right? I mean, historically, Cal, Rose Bowls, Stanford, Andrew Luck, Tech's played them before. Tech has gotten to see 2 different variations of Stanford football. In its modern heyday with Andrew Luck, the bowl game, and it hasn't been that far removed to where they are now getting beat by Hawaii. And then looking like, they did look like a glorified high school team. Tech did whatever they wanted to out there. First time Tech's traveled across the country to play a regular season game in California. Just steamrolled them. David Slusher says, maroon helmet, white jersey, and maroon pants is a good look. Yeah, I'll see that. Yeah, that would have been a good look for this game. I just hope they didn't shy away from the maroon because South Carolina has garnet. Does that make sense? I just think in a first game, you should wear your primary colors, your primary uniform. Does that make sense? It's the first time you've been seen for the new season. That game's going to be on national TV on Sunday. It's one of two, the big doubleheader for the ACC. Labor Day Eve. I'm kind of glad it's on Sunday, too. That's kind of cool because that's going to really expose Tech and get them out there in front of a lot of eyeballs, you know? That's kind of nice. Good morning, Jason. Thanks again to all the folks, Family Fencing, here in our studios. Happy Monday and happy week 1 of high school football. Yeah, we're going to talk about that with Jermaine coming up here at 7. All the foundation games are in the books. I know the Cougars won. Congratulations. Alma Mater got a win. Didn't count, but you know what I'm saying. I didn't hear who won the Radford. Hey, Rodney, you got to run me down who won the foundation games. Hokey Bob says, had the game won on the opening fair catch and gave it away. They did. Stanford said, you know what? We're just – our mindset is we're just so generous out here on the West Coast. Here you go, Hawaii. Take it. Take it. But one thing they did do, and that game was on – it was on CBS, but it was some C or D list crew, production team. But they caught Frank Wright on the sideline right after the field goal went in, and he just – I mean, he was just – he had that look, like hands on the knees. He had this just going. Wasn't moving. Team coming off the sidelines, and he's just – I mean, Stanford football. The question has to start becoming, will they win more than maybe one game? Will they? I don't know. All right, thank you very much, Chad Hyatt, the best athletic trainer in the books. He says Radford beat Christiansburg 9-0. Oh, was that a touchdown and a safety? Where's legal counsel Richie Davis? He's on the coaching staff. I figured I'd have gotten a full report. That's good defense right there. 9-0. Wow. And I know Pulaski County won that game. So, in any event, that's what happened. If you missed it, Hawaii knocks off the Cardinal. ACC 0-1 here in 2025. Fumble recovery. Oh, so the Radford offense did not score. Fumble recovery and safety. Wow, the defense in rare form. Iowa State and Kansas State. They got the entire college football season underway over in Ireland. Iowa State, Rocco Beck, quarterback, threw 2 touchdowns, 24-21. Sorry, K-State, Rob. Sorry. And Iowa State won the game. They didn't run the ball at all. They ran for 2.8 yards per carry. But Beck threw a couple of touchdowns. Well-played game. There were some fumbles. Like, I think each team lost 2 fumbles. So, you know, protection of the football is going to happen. But that's a huge win for the Cyclones. That's a massive, massive win for the Cyclones. That was a fun game. You could sense the rivalry game. And that's a huge conference win for them. That's massive for Iowa State. Each team wore proper uniforms. That was exciting. Kansas State wore their purple and their silver, and Iowa State. I'm not a big fan of the helmet. It was the Cyclone. You know, I used to like it when they had the eye. But yeah, there they were. They were wearing their gold and their dark red. Looked good. Looked good. But that was a fun game. That was a fun game out of the Big 12. And it felt like college football proper, right? College football proper is what it felt like. That was fun. Kansas beat Fresno State 31-10. Or I'm sorry, 31-7 was the final score of that game. Watched a little bit of that game because I tried to get a flavor for each, right? It's just kind of did a lot of stuff early in the day, got back, and just kind of want to chill a little bit and enjoy football. I knew I had to work Sunday. Radford. We had a soccer broadcast yesterday. Jalen Daniels was terrific. Quarterback in game one, Daniels, what it means, and, it's a similar thing that can happen to Tech. Daniels went 18 of 20. Only had 2 incompletions in the season opener. 3 touchdowns. Now, it wasn't a situation where he threw for a lot of yards, but they ran for 207. They ran for over 5 yards per carry. So, Big 12 got off to a solid start. Because even though Kansas State lost, they didn't look bad. Kansas won. UNLV struggled with Idaho State, 38-31. Of course, Dan Mullen is the new head football coach at UNLV. He wasn't terrible on the air. He was an analyst. You probably heard him a lot. He did a lot of the Tech games on the ACC network. But now he's the head coach at UNLV. They struggled, though, with Idaho State. And Western Kentucky beat Sam Houston 41-24. And that was the final score of that one. So that was your week 0. And we've got so many cool matchups coming up. I mean, we have got so many cool matchups this week that begins really on Thursday. And we'll get into those. We'll preview that as the week goes on. We got a lot of good stuff going on college football-wise. Someone who doesn't have good stuff going on college football-wise, even though they try to pretend as if everyone will always just stop everything they're doing and believe everything they say about it all. ESPN released, and I put it up on the BDST Facebook page, they released their FPI formula for the week. This was after week 0's results. And I don't know how many people take them or this seriously, but I thought it was kind of funny. They don't even try to hide it anymore. Here in their top 25 of their own formula, whatever it may consist of, which they probably leave out the bias with their relationship with the SEC. Half of the top 25 are from the SEC. 12 of the 25 are from the Southeastern Conference. But the thing about it is, and the thing that and they were getting ripped, by the way, by college football pundits on X. Kansas State, Rob, I'm not picking on you. Kansas State lost to Iowa State. Yet, after the game on Sunday, like this is the day after, they have Kansas State ranked 21 in their FPI still, and Iowa State's nowhere to be found. But they put Kansas in there at 25 because Kansas at home, they were 14.5-point favorites, and they beat Fresno State, but they put Kansas in there at 25. For a home win against a team they were supposed to beat, whereas Iowa State was 3.5-point underdogs in Ireland against Kansas State, and they beat them. But no, we're not going to put the Cyclones in there. No. Can't do that. But 12 of the 25 teams are from the SEC. Let's see. There's 5. I'm just counting the Big Ten teams now. 5 Big Ten teams. So that's 17 of the 25. Notre Dame, of course, is number 6. ACC's got representation right in a row, 16, 17, and 18 with Clemson, Miami, and SMU. BYU, Kansas State, Kansas, Arizona State out of the Big 12. But anyway, check it out. It's on the Facebook page. You can let me know what you think of the graphic. Interesting. But hit me up in the McClellan Chiropractic chat room. Radford held Christiansburg to 28 yards on the ground. Wow. Sounded like that defense was ferocious. That's what you need. Good for them. And I hope everybody came out of it healthy. I'm excited for Friday night here in Reiner. We're gonna have ourselves some high school football, and that's exciting. Very, very exciting. Hit me up on the text line. And by the way, if there's anybody out there who wants to continue to help support this program, as our wonderful friends at the National Bank have done by joining us here today as the official and exclusive banking partner of BDST. We got this text line that absolutely goes popping every show, and you could jump on that if you'd like. I did see that. Speaking of the Kansas State-Iowa State game, I just got a text. There was a fight. Did you see the footage? I'm sure you did. It went viral. This was after the Kansas State loss. A big fight was recorded on video and released on X, and it's all over the place. All you have to do is type in something like in Google, post-game Kansas State fight. And it turned out to be the father and the brother of Wildcats quarterback Avery Johnson. Can't make it up. It showed Johnson's father, Mark, involved in a tussle with his oldest son, Anthony. Onlookers tried to break up the fight. No arrests were made. It was a family affair. The two acknowledged the incident in a joint statement released on Sunday. The family says, "We sincerely apologize for our actions following yesterday's football game in Ireland. We have resolved our differences." Yeah, you did right there in front of, all the folks in Ireland. "We've apologized to our immediate and extended family and now extend our apologies to Kansas State, its alumni and fans. We regret this incident." You know what's a family thing? None of our business, none of my business. But in Ireland, they probably were just like, because they have kind of a reputation for their beverages. The angry Irishman, right? Going into it's been depicted in film and the stereotype. They probably just looked at it as just another day, another afternoon coming out of the pub in Ireland. I'm sure if anybody could understand what was going on between father and son, and they're on the ground and they're in a fight, they're probably like, yes, been in two of those with my dad over the last couple of weeks. Here. But yeah, I saw that. It went viral. It didn't last long. I hate that they had to issue an apology. It's a family thing. It happens. An old Irish family tradition. I did not, Rodney. I can't find the article. I can't access anything. I can't. Correct, Wayne. Clemson. Yes. I know. In this ESPN FPI, Clemson, let me double check. I don't want to tell you wrong. Yeah, Clemson is 16, Wayne. Phil Steele has Clemson playing in the national championship game. Raise your hand if you're going to believe, and I'm not just saying that because he predicts Clemson, but we already know Phil Steele, who, by the way, I checked because he has another service. He got all 5 FBS games correct in terms of his wagering for entertainment purposes line. He predicted Iowa State would upset Kansas State. Boom. Said something along the lines of Idaho State's no pushover, but expected UNLV to win their home opener against Dan Mullen. The guy is just otherworldly. And, of course, UNLV won, but what was it? 38-31. Said Kansas would have no problem with Fresno State. Now, that was the one I was kind of like, Fresno State, traditionally, they've gone on the road. They've been pretty good, blah, blah, blah. And I looked at the, he has Fresno State not having a good year. He likes Daniels in Kansas, 31-7. No problem. Didn't like Sam Houston at all. Said Western Kentucky's got a chance to kind of make some noise this year in Conference USA. 41-24. And he said Hawaii would beat Stanford. And they did. The guy is I don't get a dime. I don't know where my mag is. But get the Phil. Oh, wait a minute. I got a picture of it. Go get if you haven't, it's week 1 this week. Go get it. There it is. That's what it looks like around here. We got the regional cover. Correct, Wayne. Wagering for entertainment purposes only. Phil was 5 for 5. Got Clemson playing in the national championship game. ESPN puts out their whatever it is, and they've got them 16. I know you did. You did, Rodney. I appreciate it. Yeah, I have no idea. But Rodney made me feel good. He said my first piece that I wrote for the Patriot was good, and that made me feel good because he's an outstanding writer. So I'm glad it wasn't too offensive. I'll have that every week in the Patriot, thanks to Mike Williams and crew. So I hope it's not terrible. But yeah. Clemson's 16. Matter of fact, they just put all the ACC teams there together. It's just such a pointless. It was worth putting up there to make fun of. It just shows you what they're. It's just okay. The FBI. Oh, we don't have the ACC represented. I'll tell you what. Let's just put them in 16, 17, and 18. They'll end up losing or whatever. We'll just leave them right there. What about Kansas State? We're going to leave them in, right? They got beat by Iowa State. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're number 21. They were favored to win that game, and they lost, so we're going to leave them in there. Kansas took care of business at home against Fresno State, so they're going to go in. Iowa State, nah. I just don't understand. Well, I do understand. Consider the source, but well, we're about to get some business. Oh, hey, there he is. There he is. There's Balboa Creed, the kitty, the rescue kitty, making his appearance here on Monday. Week 3. He's excited about week 3. All right, so I'm going to bring this up because I just kept thinking about it, and this isn't I'm not trying to rub salt in any wounds, but, Matt Campbell's name, the head coach of Iowa State, was pretty prominent when Virginia Tech was looking to make a coaching change, when they did make a coaching change, when they let go of Justin Fuente. I don't know how far it got. We were told at the time, remember we talked about it on the show, we were told at the time that Matt Campbell reached out to Virginia Tech officials, and I don't know if that was reciprocated or not. I never heard of any kind of an offer. I was told that there was a flight one way or the other. It didn't happen. He's had opportunities to go. He stays at a place like that, and I'm watching them play, and I'm thinking, that guy would have been pretty good in Blacksburg. Not to say that Brent Pry can't pull it out this year and turn things around. He hasn't been the guy so far. It doesn't mean that he won't be. That's why this year is so gigantic. But I'm watching Iowa State play, and I'm thinking, that would have been pretty good over here, huh? that would have fit in pretty well. The guy can coach. And I have a lot of respect for a guy who's very dedicated to his school and people there, like he is. And he got a nice bump because he just stayed, turned down other overtures. But I think he really was interested in that Tech job. Just didn't happen. That's all. But I thought that would have been a nice fit, and I still do. Brent Pry can be a nice fit. This is the year. This is the make or break year, and it starts on Sunday. And if I'm a huge Tech fan, I'm excited about Sunday. People are, man, oh man. People are, and Bill talked about it last Wednesday at the Blacksburg Sports Club. People are just so accepting that Tech's going to go out and lay this huge egg on Sunday. And I can't say that. I don't know. It's week 1. I don't know. You try to get a feel when you watch week 0 a little bit. And you kind of poke ahead and think, okay, I don't know what the offense is going to look like under Coach Montgomery, with Kyron Drones in better shape with a different mindset. The reason I'm so bullish on Kyron Drones is I said it how many times, if you listen to the old radio show, now you're tuned in to this program on YouTube, please go subscribe. It's free. Subscribe. Free. It's free. The handler of the show says I need to mention it more, so that's what I'm doing. But self-awareness is a massive thing in life. Sounds like Kyron Drones found it as a younger man. He admitted his head blew off heading into last year and throughout last year. Got paid, got a big check. Remember, he had the LSU overtures. A lot of ego got in the way. And a lot of things were expected of Tech. Didn't happen. A lot of pressure on them. Things went south immediately. They never recovered. He got hurt. Now he recognizes the way he was. Didn't like it. Doesn't want to be that. Got in shape. Last shot in Blacksburg. An offensive coach that's going to suit his skills. Tyler Bowen did not. We talked about it all the time. Suiting his skills doesn't mean just lining him up in the shotgun and letting him take off on a quarterback draw, 40% of the time, which is what it felt like. You could predict it so many times. So we don't know what it's going to look like. We don't know what the defense is going to look like with Coach Steve because we don't know. We don't know. So Tech's gone dark, and that's a good thing. We'll talk to Mike Burnup about it tomorrow. But they've gone dark. There's no way that anyone over in Columbia can know what Tech may look like on Sunday. Tech's got a lot of film on what South Carolina is going to look like, especially the quarterback, because it hasn't changed. And I'm not saying it's going to mean, hey, this big upset's going to happen, but I think it's going to be a hell of a close game. I don't think you're going to see any kind of – South Carolina – when has South Carolina been that team? Now, South Carolina's been heavy underdogs under Shane Beamer, and they've played very well. You had that close game against Alabama that they let get away, that Jen actually went to and was devastated when they couldn't win it in the end. They came on last year and played well. But when have you watched South Carolina play under Shane Beamer and you thought, watch out, that's a juggernaut? So they're expected to have a big year. They're getting a lot of love. Tech was expected to have a big year, got a lot of love, got punched in the mouth early by a team they were supposed to beat, by a quarterback nobody had heard of, and now he became a kind of a college football star. Following up that performance against Tech, Diego Pavia. So much so that he won a case to come back for one extra year. He's going to be in Blacksburg. Wayne says, close game in our McClellan chiropractic chat room. No, Tech hasn't won those. Why not change it? Why not just change the whole MO in game one, right? The unknown means something, in my opinion. And I think Tech's played it well. I think Brent Pry's done a nice job of keeping everything kind of on the down low for this game. Where are we with the spread, by the way? Does anybody know? Let me see here. Let's see what Vegas is saying. Sunday, right? Let's see here. Sunday. We're sitting there at, it's an 8-point spread. So a touchdown-ish, they're saying. Okay. Don't pay any attention to things like that. But even if the game doesn't end up in Tech's column, they can make a whole lot of positive stuff happen with the way they play and how they perform. And it's going to be interesting to me to see how they come forward on Sunday. But I'm taking the opposite aspect of it. I don't expect it to be this whole, South Carolina just can't be stopped. I don't think it's going to be that way. This isn't Georgia. Can't say Alabama because Alabama, now they might bounce back, right? Coach DeBoer is a good coach. But they don't feel like Alabama anymore, do they, without Nick Saban? Feels like it's changed a whole lot. They're not Tennessee, not Texas. I don't know. But I guarantee you one thing about Sam Seifkas, a team's not going to be able to run the same play 9 times in the first half and connect all 9 times like Rutgers was doing with their little tight end or tailback release out of the backfield into the flat for 5, 6, 7, 8 yards every time before somebody finally went, oh, we should probably do something and adjust our linebackers and our ends to those guys, huh? We should probably have our safeties pay attention to that. I don't think you're going to have them be able to run the same play for success. Wow. That's when you knew, if you already didn't know by the record, I think last year's Rutgers game in Lane Stadium, and let me know if you think I'm onto something or not. If you didn't know that was going to be the end for Chris Marv, then you were just in complete denial. You knew at that point this isn't going to get any better. This is year 3, and they just ran the same play, a play that they had run the week before a lot. They just ran it, I don't know how many times, and bailed themselves out of 3rd and whatever, 2nd and long, whatever it may have been. And then there were no adjustments. Tech not able to win late games because they couldn't make adjustments through their coordinators, defensively or offensively. I feel like that's going to change now with 2 guys who have done it a long time, with an offensive coordinator who was a head football coach, with a defensive coordinator who's been in the freaking NFL. Those 2 statements alone show you, if you're a Tech fan, and look, I understand getting burned. Not going to fall for the banana in the tailpipe. I understand. I do. I get it, 100%. But at the same time, it's a totally different vibe with those 2 guys. And Jarrett Ferguson, no nonsense. I've heard several people say that the weight room the last couple of years felt like a recreational area. Yeah, we got to go get our lift in. Hey, what songs are we playing today? What's our playlist? Yeah, that's more important. It's not happening under Jared Ferguson. No. And look, I'm not coming on predicting some big upset. I'm not going to do that. I think South Carolina will probably have enough to win, but I wouldn't be surprised at the end if we're coming back next Monday, a week from today. Just saying, we haven't seen anything, so it's hard to know. We haven't seen a thing. I haven't seen Tech. You haven't. Most of our people on the program haven't. But you can do some investigative deduction on your own and realize that it can happen. It's better. It's better on paper. That's how we do, right? We look at things on paper in sports. That's how you make a lot of your predictions. Not Phil Steele, because I'm not sure he's human. If there is you see all the time, all these shots, you get them a lot now with AI, especially on X or whatever. Actual footage of a unknown flying aircraft hovering over Lake Tahoe. Strange creatures walking around the wilderness out in, Nebraska. Well, if there's any true form of alien species, I think it might be a guy like Phil Steele, because he blows me away. Got all 5 games right. Yeah, no big deal to him. Sat there, I could have brought up the history of Buffalo Bison football, and he could have just sat there and just mind blown. Go buy his mag. Just go buy his magazine. But we'll get into that this week with all of our guests, and we'll talk about all these things with Tech, and we'll see. We'll see. Shane Beamer's never been a guy who's had a team that's a favorite start a season since he's been down in Columbia. Now they are. Tech found it out last year. I'll ask Jermaine about it here coming up, because he's seen it. He covered football in Texas. It changes things. It changes things. Week 1. We're going to find out a lot about a lot of teams. Week 0, we found out that Stanford's still not a football school any longer. It's amazing how far that's fallen. We saw a really good game, kind of a mid-season field game between Iowa State and Kansas State. Halfway across the world. It's a hell of a game. So you just don't know. But one thing we do know is Family Fencing Studios. They are our sponsor here of the studios here in Reiner, and we appreciate it greatly. They have a no-dig installation system. There's no mess whatsoever. They're locally owned. They have finance options. They give you free quotes. They have vinyl. They have aluminum. They have wood, chain link. They do agricultural, commercial, residential fencing. Check them out. Tell them you heard about us talking about them. 540-200-8294, and it's familyfencingnrv.com. I want to thank Mark Hundley and all the folks at McClellan Chiropractic, sponsors of our chat room. It's been popping this morning. If you need a pop in all the right directions, go see Mark and his crew. As you get a little older, you realize chiropractic care is vitally important. Vitally important. Whew. It just is. It just makes you feel better. And we are very proud to be saying that this program is presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. And very soon we're going to have folks on, and we're going to have some things we're going to be talking about. Everything with high school football season starting, especially this week. We're going to get into all the great things happening in Pulaski County. Get your units checked out. Call Charles Lee today. Little River Heating and Air. Go see him right there on Radford Street in Christiansburg. Best experience I've had with, folks, specialists that can come to your home in a long, long time. I mean, in a long, long time. Those guys were unbelievable and honest. And that's huge today. We'll have a BDST fan question of the week brought to you by Ryan Pry, the attorney on 701 West Main Street in Radford. That's coming up. It's going to be centered around college football. I think I'm going to go the route of maybe your favorite college football rivalry that you wanted to watch when you were growing up or as you were just younger on TV. And, of course, we made the big announcement today that National Bank joins the program as our exclusive banking partner here, BDST, on YouTube. So thank you to Larry Ramsey, the new president and CEO. Like I said, I've been with the National Bank for a long, long, long time. So we appreciate them. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And they will also be part of our high school show. And speaking of high school football, it starts this week. And I believe he's in the green room. Jermaine Ferrell from WFXR joins us now on the program. And when I think high school football, first person I think of in media is this guy. He's the absolute best stuff. Jermaine, how are you, man?
Doing good, sir. How are you this morning?
I'm good. We're into week 3 of the new format, bumping around here, doing our thing. So, we're doing okay. How was your weekend?
I mean, it was good. I mean, got recharged up a little bit because we're getting ready for a big week of our kickoff of high school football. So, I mean, we already kicked it off. We had a couple of games. We actually had 3 games from our area, and they were dominating performances. I mean, North Cross, all the teams went on the road and won. North Cross won 62-0 over Nansemond Suffolk, and they're looking real good. Roanoke Catholic got a 49-0 win over Isle of Wight. So both those teams went to the Tidewater area, dominating. And, of course, Saturday, Lord Balatot won over Rye Cove 49-12. They played that game at Emory and Henry. So that was a big win for them. But, yeah, all our local teams got off to a big start. And, that's the thing. You want to get off to a good win. We talk about it every year. We say, hey, we're getting off to a good start. Everybody's trying to win. Everybody's trying to have success. So that's what the key is. And Rick, to be honest, it is fun to see these teams get started. Now it's for real. Everybody is ready for the season. And that's there's optimism. When you talk about football, everybody's 0-0. When everybody put up the chart, everybody says, whose team, retweet your team is undefeated. Everybody can do that. But next week, not everybody can do that.
That's right. No, it is, man. It's just such a community thing, and you get so fired up about it. And I know that it sounds like a cliche, but it's not. Nothing encapsulates it more, right, than high school football. And you bring that home in your coverage on your Hardy's Friday Night Blitz. You guys there's passion there. You go and you bring the sights and the sounds, and when you go to these games, there's the game, but you kind of look around and go, this brings back memories when I was in high school. Whether you were playing, whether you have a child now, a son now playing, it brings out the best in the community. It's such a great time of year. It really is.
What's fun, you walk into, it's funny, you mentioned that, you walk, it's funny for me, whenever I walk into a high school stadium, football stadium, and I just have flashbacks of going into Victory Stadium or going into a visiting place, because you hear the fans.
Yeah.
You smell the popcorn. You hear the bands. Everybody's fired up. Parents, cheerleaders. Booster club members. Everybody's excited. And then when you see the kickoff and you see everybody's just excited. I mean, it's such a fun time, Rick. I tell you, it's kind of like Christmas. And all these players. I mean, there's stages of getting ready for a season. I mean, obviously, you have your early off season. You get all that off-season work going, and obviously there's 7-on-7 and lineman drills and camps, and then the next step is you get ready to do the summer, the fall camp, getting ready for the season. Even though we call it fall camp, but it's still not in fall.
Right.
Like that, and then it's game week, and now all the coaches are fired up. They focus in on their opponent. They get close. And they are ready to roll. I mean, they are ready. And that's what it is. It goes in levels. And then you still have optimism the first couple of weeks, win or lose. But then it comes to a point where if you're 5-0 in the middle of the year, you're rocking and rolling. Or if you have a winning record, you're eyeing the playoffs. And then when you go, let's say if you're 0-5, maybe there's hope. So you always want to get off to a good start because you want to keep the momentum, the hope going. And there's so many great teams and so much we got going on. And it's just fun. I mean, I love it. And we do a great job with the Hardy's Friday Night Blitz each and every Friday. We're excited about it. And we're excited for what the coverage is. Because, like I said, these schools, these teams deserve it. And we're excited. I'm fired up, Rick. I'm ready to kick it off. Put me in, Coach. I'm ready to play. And then,
I know.
And then, to really get you ready for high school football, I want to give a shout out to a couple of guys. Mason Clark, who is a coach and teacher at Fort Chiswell, he did a book on the Pulaski County Cougars history of football, which it's 640 pages. Mason Clark, if you're listening out there, I'm waiting on my autographed copy of the book. So,
yeah, where's mine? He promised me one a while back too. I haven't got it yet.
Really, yeah, 640 page. I know it got lost in the mail.
Yeah.
And obviously Jeremy Haymore, who was the former coach at Stanton River, he wrote a book on the Bandana Express, which has been getting a lot of pub. I mean, this past Saturday. I mean, Jeremy did a great job with that book too, and he talks about that 1980 Giles football team, and of course, this past weekend he was on Marty and McGee, the SEC show, and I think he wrote the foreword. Yeah, Marty Smith wrote the foreword, and so what was so neat is that Jeremy sent me a copy of the book, but it was wrapped in a bandana, which was so cool with the autograph and all that. So. But yeah, it's big time stuff, Rick. I mean, the thrill, and it's like the #1 book under the coaching category in Amazon. So that says a lot about what he's doing. And both these guys took a lot of time, a lot of research. You can't just go write a book. It's like, oh, here's like writing a book.
Yeah.
You got to research, and they did so much research. I think I interviewed Jeremy. He told me it took him, north of a decade to write the book and interview everybody and put the thing together. And then Mason Clark, I mean, all the research. I mean, a good friend of yours, Dan Callahan, God rest his soul, using all that research with the Southwest Times, which they were. You talk about someone and people who knew about, about Pulaski County football, but you talk about a guy that was like Mr. Pulaski County football writing on that was Dan Callahan. I mean, he knew everything. 100%. And not only just Pulaski County, but just that part of the country, in general.
Oh, yeah. Encyclopedia. Just crazy.
Encyclopedia. If you needed to know how many district titles Pulaski won, Dan Callahan, boom. He'd know how many or, what they did. So it's really impressive, the time and the discipline. We talk about football players and coaches with discipline. These two were coaches, so they had the discipline to see this thing through. So congratulations on their books. And if you read Friday Night Lights or you watched the movie, those books put you there.
Yeah, they do. Jermaine Ferrell, sports director at WFXR, joining us on the program. And about that Giles game, I was there with my dad because we had farmland over in Pearisburg. And so my dad knew a lot of the parents of those kids at Giles' team that played Parkview Sterling on that Saturday with Leon King and Alan Pinkett, who went to Notre Dame, was the big star for Parkview Sterling, and Leon King was the best player on the field that day for that game.
It's crazy. My Ed Scott, who was the coach of Parkview Sterling, he was my high school coach at Patrick Henry. So he moved on, and he was the head coach at Patrick Henry back in 1990. So. And he talked about that game. I remember him talking about it. And he said, I coached Alan Pinkett. And, so he was familiar with that area. And like I said, that was a tremendous game. And Alan Pinkett scored all the points for Parkview Sterling in that game.
One-man team,
And you talk about a haul. I mean, going from Northern Virginia all the way down to Giles back then in 1980, you didn't have the interstate like you do now, obviously. So that had to be a haul to come down there. And they said the weather was perfect. I mean, you were there for that. The weather was perfect. I mean, it was 60s. It was warm for a game in December. Holy cow.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful weather. And every game, even when it's a little colder, it's beautiful weather when you're at a high school football stadium. But a lot of people have asked or hit me up on the text line, wanted me to ask you, what have you heard bouncing around? I mean, you're at all the camps. I mean, there's always some teams that kind of stand out. Who do you like, I guess, in terms of what they had coming back on paper heading into the season? Is it the usual culprits? Are we talking about the Salems of the world? Patrick Henry's been bouncing back. And are we going to see some programs that have been kind of down, you think, maybe making another push? What do you think?
Well, I think you got to look at some of the teams that got new coaches. I think you're going to have I think, like, for instance, let's look at a Grayson County. And I want to look at the teams that were in the state championship game last year. You look at a Grayson County. Now, obviously, they got the Goat Twins, which I can't tell them apart. Like I said, it's sad on me, but they look so much alike. Maverick and McCray, I mean, they look so much alike. They made it to a state championship game. Now, You get that taste, Rick, you want to get back.
That's right.
And the thing is, they got there. Now they have a tough schedule this year, but I think they're a team that really Class 1 is loaded with good teams. I mean, really all classifications, but I can go through each of the classifications, and you look at Class 1. Class 1 is loaded with good teams. I mean, you got Narrows. You never can count out a Narrows team in Class 1. Obviously, George Wythe. And Giles, we mentioned Giles too. If we mention Narrows, you got to mention Giles, or else we'll get in trouble.
Yeah, you better not split the county. Yeah.
If you mention George Wythe, you better mention. If you mention George Wythe, you better mention Galax. And that'll be interesting. Galax will have a new coach. We'll see what happens with that situation down there. So you got a lot of good teams, and then you bump up to Class 2. I mean, Radford won that state championship, but now they're bouncing back. They did have a good season, but what are they going to do to get back there, and get what they need to do in Class 2? It'll be interesting, more Class 1. I mean, you look at Auburn. Auburn's bringing football back. I mean, you're right around the corner for that. What will they look like? You got teams like a James River with a new coach, with Jack Baker. And Jack Baker, I mean, everybody, he's been to a lot of programs, and he's resurrected a lot of them. What can he do at James River? And then, obviously you look at all those, and then, everybody probably wants to know, okay, and I've seen posts about Pulaski County, now what can they do to turn things around and what they're going to get going. And in the New River Valley, I mean, Christiansburg is going to be a force. Blacksburg, I mean, you look at what they're going to do to improve their situation. You go to Hidden Valley. I mean, look at Hidden Valley, and they have a new coach, and sometimes maybe you need a new ear to get things going. I mean, Scott Weaver did a tremendous job there, but obviously with Bud Tolliver and his enthusiasm and what he does, with that program, look at each of the districts. I mean, look at Bath County, who had a strong season. Can they kind of, they were knocked off a little bit early. Alta Vista, they've had a lot of tradition. The last couple of years, they've won, north of 10 games every year. But the team that's gotten their way is Essex. Essex has gotten in their way. So can they get past Essex? And some notes. I mean, Riverheads is dropping back down to Class 1. So everybody in Class 1 is going to have to look at Riverheads.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, no.
So you got that. And then, of course, Salem. Salem is always going to be good. They have a big game starting off with EC Glass, hosting EC Glass. You talk about two regional teams. They're in the same region, and they're playing each other, and that'll be fun. And, North Cross, they were in the state championship game last year, and their bid for a three-peat went away. So, and they won big, like I said, against Nansemond Suffolk. And then you got, like I said, Liberty Christian. They have an opportunity for a three-peat in the VHSL. Now, they have a tough one coming up this Saturday. They go to Ohio, and Ohio's big on their high school football. They play Ironton in high school football Saturday.
Wow!
In a game, because the thing is, they're having problems scheduling games. And imagine this concept: if you win, it's hard to schedule games, and that's really the biggest thing. And so, but yeah, I think we got the usual suspects. I mean, a team that's interesting, Jefferson Forest. Jefferson Forest has had two big seasons, but they want to get past the second round of the playoffs. So I think there's levels to success. Yes, you've been to the state championship game. I want to get back. If you have, you've been in the playoffs last couple of years, your next step is a breakthrough. You look at a William Fleming. William Fleming, 11-2 last year. They've lost to the last 2 years in a regional final. They want to get past that, but they have a tough one playing a Verona team that was in a Class 4 championship game last year. So they open up the season at home against Verona. So you got some big-time stuff there. And so a lot of optimism. William Byrd, last 2 years have made it to the state semifinals, but they've run into LCA. Yeah. So their thought process, hey, we want to break through. So teams want to break through from where they were. They want to build on what they did last year. And William Byrd definitely wants to do that. And Lord Botetourt wants to show, hey, we're a factor in region. And Region 3D is one of the toughest regions out there, because you got a Stanton River, you got a Magna Vista in there. Magna Vista. Christiansburg is always good. Abington. It's a loaded region, and I'm not saying they're the best region, but you got a lot of if you win Region 3D, it sets yourself up to try to win in Class 3, and then Region 3C is tough because Heritage, they're trying to get back in, they're trying to break through and do what they have to do. Brad Bradley always has a good team over there in Heritage, and so they're a good team. EC Glass, you look at them, and Jamar Lovelace and what they're trying to do in Class 4. Class 4 is loaded too. We have an Amherst team that was 5-5, and they want to break through. Amherst starts their season this Thursday at Sharando, the team that won Region 4D, which is a region that everybody wants to win. So I applaud teams that play a tough schedule and don't shy away from anybody versus, teams that are afraid to play everybody. Like, you're going to have to play some tough teams down the line anyway. So play them. But, everybody's scheduling philosophy is different. If you struggle a little bit, maybe you don't want to jump on a tough team. But if your team wants to take the next step and know where you stand, play a tough schedule. So, there's a lot of good stuff out there. North Cross, for example, they have to, it's tough for them to find games. So they have to play Division I teams in VISAA. And there's some tough teams. Like they play Trinity this Friday afternoon. So a lot of tough stuff, Rick, a lot of big time games. But I will say this. That's the reason why you play the game, because we could speculate. I could say who's going to do what, who's going to do this. At the end of the day, you better make sure your stuff is going. You better make sure you got your act together if you want to have that successful season. And we'll see how that goes. But a lot of good football. And, obviously, then you got Virginia Tech kicking off Sunday against South Carolina, Shane Beamer. That's going to be a fun one to see what happens there, because that's going to be a big test for both teams. And whoever wins that game, they're going to have so much momentum. I mean, Virginia Tech and South Carolina down there. And that's going to be a fun thing. And I think, Rick, and jumping off from high school to college, I know I'm like a Golden Corral buffet. I'm hopping around everywhere. Seeing teams play, I think we're going to see more of that. I think we're going to see bigger games. The days of,
it's the one product of this that's good. You're right. Of all the awfulness of college football and what's going on and all the negative stuff, you're right. The one thing we're seeing now, there's going to be pressure. You have to play better games, and that's going to be the one good thing about it.
Yeah, because no offense against the FCS, but when you see like the SEC, it's November, and before they play their big rivalry game, you'll have Alabama play, I don't know, an FCS school. I'm not going to mention one, but they got to do that. And then what else? And then even at the FBS level, and that the not the power ones but the lower ones, I'm happy to see like Liberty playing James Madison. I mean, Jamie Chadwell said
absolutely
we should be playing James Madison. We should be playing Old Dominion because
every year.
It doesn't to me. It doesn't make sense if you're at that level. If you're at that level. Old Dominion and James Madison are going to play each other because they're in the Sun Belt. But Liberty every year should be playing Old Dominion, should be playing James Madison. There's no excuse. It's a bus versus, Liberty scheduling, like Maine or scheduling Bowling Green. Now they have to schedule who they can schedule, but you got to have a dance partner. So if they're trying to schedule James Madison and Old Dominion and they say no, they've tried everything they could. So I like to see more of the state schools play each other. It'd be neat to see. I said that in basketball. I love it when, schools in the state play each other. I mean, it builds up interest. No one's going to go to an arena and play it. And you see, like I said, we talk about college athletics. It's the bottom line. And more people will come to see a state game than they would a team that they don't know about or it's not a big name. And if you are going to schedule a game that's outside of your conference, go big. Schedule a big game. Versus
make some money.
Yeah. I think on your show you said Dave Braid said something to the effect that would you rather schedule a big game or get a sure win? And he said I take the win.
Yeah. Bill asked Dave Brady, and Dave Brady said, "I will take the win over Wofford instead of the loss to Alabama." Although the loss to Alabama would be bigger in terms of finances and probably respect status.
Yeah.
Brady, no. Dave said, "No, want to win them all."
Well, you want to win, but you at the same time, fans are going to come. I mean, fans should come to your games, but at the same time, you got to give them a reason. And if they see a big name on your schedule, whether it's football, basketball, what's interesting, Rick, I see more big games in other sports, not football or basketball. Like, for instance, case in point, Virginia Tech played Ohio State in soccer. I mean, that's big. I mean, you got Liberty playing Virginia and Virginia Tech in women's soccer. I mean, you see it in other sports, but you don't see it in the big sports. You don't see
not enough.
You don't see big time matchups, and if there are big time matchups, they're usually at a neutral field. They're at a neutral site. They're never a home and home. And everybody's afraid to do home and home. Like, come on, play home and home.
I know.
The made for TV games, I'm cool with that. I don't have a problem with that, whether it's football, basketball. But I like to see a home and home. I mean, give me something to work
Not
with.
the same atmosphere. You're right. It's not the same. It would be totally different if Tech was going down to Columbia for that game, or if they were coming up to Blacksburg and you're going to Atlanta. And it'll be loud, it'll be cool, but yeah, you're right. You lose something. You lose a big part of what college football is about when it's at a neutral place like that in the regular season.
Right, and the thing is, think about the first round of the playoffs are played at home, and you saw the energy in those first round games.
So different, in a good way. Yeah,
that had energy, Rick, and I was like, wow, okay,
I know.
Let's get something going here, and probably, and I was watching it somewhere. I don't know if I saw it on you or whatever. But I bet you the NCAA's thinking back. I said, if we would have started this playoff thing many moons ago, how much money would be cranked out right now? I mean, they're making money now. But holy cow, could you imagine?
They forfeited billions. They forfeited billions lying to us about why we couldn't have a playoff system.
Yeah,
because everybody wanted to keep what they were making. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, okay, so. And the crazy thing is, you mentioned this before. I mean, at the FCS level, every level below Division 1A football had a playoff. And
correct.
You use education as an excuse, no, because everybody else is doing it. No. So don't give me that. I mean, but I would say for the playoff system, I would like for it, if they could, to try to end it around New Year's. I would. If I was college football, I would start the season kind of in mid-August, throw a bye week or two in there, and try to end that thing right around New Year's. That would be neat if you could end your playoffs, because that's what they do at the FCS and the lower levels of college. The playoffs are done in December and January. Well, at the latest January, early January. But if they could figure out a way to do that, I mean, that's what I would like to see, because you have a big gap of time once the season ends to the playoffs or whatever else, which is crazy. But they do what they got to do.
No. Well, what's great, speaking of doing what we got to do, Jermaine and I will be once again, this is going to be diving into the YouTube age, but we will bring you the Fourth and Goal show coming up this week to give you a preview. So that'll be coming up later in the week, and we'll talk about all these things, Jermaine, what he's noticed with the teams. I hear a lot of good vibes about everything. The celebration, I know it's going to be up here in Reiner on Friday. Don't know how the team's going to look. Doesn't really matter. We got high school football back. We haven't had it in a couple of years.
You going to be there?
I have something at Radford I have to do, but I'm going to go straight up there after my broadcast. As soon as my broadcast is over, I'm going to go. I hope I can catch the end of it at least. I want to be part of the return. Yeah. You always
play that Radford card, don't you? Something about working at Radford, right?
Well, we're hosting a volleyball tournament this weekend, and we've got like 7 broadcasts. So I'm hoping that the last one will end with enough time for me to still get up there.
What time's your last broadcast?
Yeah, it starts around 7, but volleyball can be over. Volleyball can be over
the whole game then.
Yeah, I might.
I don't think you're going to get there.
Yeah, I may not get there. But
anyway,
I'll be there in spirit.
Can't you call in a sub? You're Rick Watson. Calling a sub. You got a college.
Well, we are. We're working with the SMA kids for the non-Radford games, but I have to call the Radford games. It's a contractual thing.
Oh, okay. You don't have you have the Stifles?
Oh man, I don't feel good. Then I'm up there just in my Auburn gear. Yeah. show up on social media. Yeah, wait a minute. I thought he was sick.
Yeah, I thought he was under the weather. There he is with
painted eagle face.
Yeah, big eagle, war eagle.
My face
the other Auburn.
All right, well, man, listen, great stuff. Looking forward to hooking back up with you later in the week, talking some high school football for the Peeps. That's going to be fun.
All right. Well, I appreciate you and all the work you do. I'm glad your show is really rocking. I think you get
week 3.
Week 3.
Hard to believe.
And then you'll have like you probably should count down your shows, so you'll have like the 100th show or the 500th show. So keep track of all your shows. But right now, this is show 16, right? No, this is show
11.
Wait a minute, 11.
This is number 11. Yeah, I had to really think hard. I was sitting there struggling.
I almost added one in there. And remember Sesame Street and the Electric Company and Contact.
Morgan Freeman.
Right. Do you remember they would put the number, like what show it was? Like for Sesame Street, it'd be like 2,500.
Yes, I do.
You should do that with Big Dog. Just say, okay, this is show number.
Just put the show up?
Yeah, put the number up.
I might do that. That's not a bad idea. I could do that.
There you go. I got stuff for you.
Okay. I like that. Yeah, I think I'll do that. Here's show number. Yeah, we'll keep it up. Yeah.
There you go. You got it.
All right. Well, my friend, listen, have a great start to your week. I'll talk to you again in the middle of the week when we record 4th and Goal to get the season underway.
All right. We got it. You have a blessed day. And
You too.
And again, quick shout out to my wife, Yolanda. Love you, baby.
We love you, Yolanda. I'm allowed to say that while Jermaine's on the air.
That's right.
All right, man. We'll talk to you later in the week. Thanks, man. Good stuff, as always. All right. Yeah, Jermaine and I will have the 4th and Goal show for you coming up. So that'll be recorded and uploaded, kind of like we did with our Mike Jones, Sharon Jones announcement that they were going into the Radford High School Hall of Fame. So we're going to have that for you. So we're very excited. Very excited. 4th and Goal once again with Jermaine. We kept the name 4th and Goal to honor. He mentioned it, Dan Callahan. Dan and I did that show for a number of years. So it's going to be awesome. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hit us up on the McClellan chat room. Wayne says, hey, I see you, David Smith. You Hall of Famer, you. Speaking of recorded shows, I'm going to wait, though, because David's going to be on tomorrow. And we're going to announce what we're doing. So I'm going to wait. A little teaser there. Wayne says fans have filled the stands against Wofford at 11 a.m. The product has to match the fans' support. Well, that's the one thing you cannot at all. Anyone who observes Tech from afar cannot knock Tech Fan. Tech Fan is unbelievable. Tech Fan is always there. Always. They did. They had 64,000 at the Wofford game at 11. Wofford. Playing them again this year. Oof. Wofford and Old Dominion on the same schedule. Yeah. Kind of leaves a nasty taste in your mouth, doesn't it? But one thing, and Jermaine talked about it, that is good about this is that we will see better college football games going forward in the non-conference. The SEC is going to a 9-game schedule. ACC can say they're happy with the way it is now all they want, but they're going to go to a 9-team schedule. Big Ten will go to a 9. It's going to happen everywhere. The TV dollars demand it. The SEC is getting out in front of it because they know where things are headed, and they kind of control where things are going to head. Them scheduling a 9-team conference schedule is going to get far more interest than when teams like on the SEC schedule FCS teams. They just don't matter. They just don't matter. Last week, I made a statement that, some people kind of kicked back on me. But did you see Notre Dame's response? Notre Dame's response about the SEC going to 9 teams. If I can see if I can find the exact, I want to make sure I quote it correctly here. For some reason, the link that I had up did not work. But Notre Dame, when they responded, here we go. All right, here we go. Notre Dame, when they responded to the SEC's 9-game schedule, and we talked about, and I brought this up, I think I brought up each week on the show. I said Notre Dame standing alone is stronger than the SEC and the Big Ten combined. And I got some kickback on the BDST text line, which is perfectly fine. You can share your opinion. I don't expect, nor do I want everybody to always agree with what I say 100%. It's great. But Notre Dame came out and they made the statement, hey, they're playing 9 games. That's great. The SEC is still going to schedule non-conference games against Notre Dame. But they said all this does is commit us even more to our independence. That's what they said. Our independence means more now than it ever has before, especially in lieu of the announcement that the SEC is going to 9 conference games. And trying to find the official, here we go. Sources at Notre Dame said this, because we like to get things right here on the program. It doesn't happen very much in news or media coverage now today. When really that's all that's cared about is, pushing whatever political envelope you subscribe to. That's all mainstream access media is. That's why you don't pay any attention to it. You find out how they're lined up politically, that's what they're reporting on in favor of, and you hate everybody else, right? Let's create as much dissension in the country as we can. Don't get me started on the access media. It's utterly ridiculous. Notre Dame said this, sources right after the announcement. Notre Dame says that this now, the SEC scheduling decision, further solidifies our independence. We're still going to have non-conference games against SEC teams because, quote, they still need us on their schedules. We still have a committed TV partner. We have a home for all of our Olympic sports. The ACC. Talked about that. We have everything that we had before, and now the SEC is committed even more to us in a way because we're going to be popping up on a lot of those schedules or have requests to play those schedules. Those are the keys to our independence. We're part of the playoff. We've got our own TV network. And now, with the SEC announcing this, we're good. And so the reasoning is with the SEC going to 9 games, it's going to allow Notre Dame to even become more independent. And it's not going to change them anymore, right? The Big Ten has, for years, extended an open invitation to Notre Dame, and they've never seriously ever considered joining it, no matter what has been reported. And we talked about that a couple years on the radio show. People are writing, Notre Dame really wrestling with the notion that they may join the Big Ten. And we said that on the show, we're just a little show here, I guess, no national significance on this show, but we told you then that was hogwash. It wasn't real. People may write about it, try to sell things, subscriptions, try to get people to click on their articles. No clickbait here. Notre Dame in no way, shape, or form was ever at any point in their existence, and thus there may have been some behind-the-scenes conversations that may have gotten back to them that just maybe there'd be a power play to take them out of the playoff. That was the only thing that was ever going to get them to jump. But then when they announced the extension of the playoff and you actually had Notre Dame's AD there as a representative making the decisions, and one of the first things they got into the discussion was Notre Dame's going to be part of the playoff. All right, good. We're done. Matthew says the ACC pretending they're happy with 8 games is the same as me pretending to want to sit in the middle of the back seat on a car ride. Yeah. And why is Jim Phillips making that statement? Why do you say that? Big Ten didn't say anything because the Big Ten is with the SEC. They're partners. They don't announce that, but they are the alliance. The unheard of, the unspoken alliance. Why do you come out and say, well, ACC is really happy with our 8-game schedule? No, you're not. That's why Virginia Tech's playing Wofford and Old Dominion. West makes a great point. Once the college football playoff extended from 4 to 12, Notre Dame was off the hook and will not join the conference. And I think it was even before then, West, because even with the 14 playoff, Notre Dame was part of it. Now, they had a little tougher maybe way to get there, considering they didn't have a conference schedule, and maybe voters would have punished them. But you're right. They have a season that deems it. And I don't know about you. When I see the shiny golden domes, I watch Notre Dame football. We'll have to keep an eye on the ratings. There was one of those programs you watch. Most of the time you pull against them, right? You pull against them, but you're watching them. And really, that's all that matters to the networks. They don't care whether you like it or not. Are people watching it? And the answer is yes. By the way, please like and subscribe. Tell your friends it's free to subscribe. So Notre Dame just comes out, chest out. They are the untouchable entity in college football. That's not going to change. Once the ACC said yes to handling their Olympic scheduling for the most part from a conference perspective, because the brand is bigger than common sense. And I guess it is common sense for the ACC to have that association. There's no doubt. Although they don't add as much. You know, you don't think about Notre Dame basketball as being year in and year out dominant. The baseball program is good. It's solid, but it's not, upper echelon. They have good Olympic sports, but nothing that's unbeatable from ACC standards. So it's not like they're coming in and just controlling all these things, but they do control one thing, and that's their independence. And I told you this last week when we were up there the last time for Radford. The best statement I've heard was our investors, meaning our boosters, our alumni, our donor base, our influential people on the board, value our independence more than we do as an athletic department. And that ended any more further speculation as to whether or not Notre Dame was ever going to be forced to do anything. They're not. You can't. Leave it alone. And they know it. And it's not, is it right? Is it fair? That's a different debate. Is it right that the SEC and the Big Ten and the Big 12 and even the ACC beat the hell out of each other in a conference schedule? Notre Dame can kind of pick and choose what they want. They have to be wise about it. They have to have some big games in their schedule. They can't just go out there and play, the Woffords of the world and expect to be part of something. It doesn't work that way. But it's interesting. It's very interesting. There we go. We back now? Everybody good? Can you see me now? Okay. Yeah, I got disconnected for a second there. But to a greater good, though, I mean, these debates now can happen every week with college football kicking in with high school football. That's right. Jeff says the story I tell about money falling out of the ceiling should tell people all they want. 2018, Radford University basketball beat Notre Dame. We went up there, and the first time we played them, we had them beat the second game, but they wouldn't last. Anyway, and the SID took the end of a broom, and we were talking about how rich they were. Because I could knock out these two ceiling tiles, and you'd have to duck because of all the wads of money that would fall out of the ceiling. So there you go. And I said, yep, that's it. That's it. That's it. And they joke about it because they can. They joke about it because they know it's true. So you can call it hubris, arrogance, whatever you want to do, but the fact remains that Notre Dame is the brand of college football. And look at their schedule, by the way. Let's look at their schedule. They open up with Miami. They play Texas A&M. This is an independent school. So the one thing, and look, I'm not a Notre Dame. I'm not banging a drum for Notre Dame. I'm just trying to be real here. Who's playing a tougher schedule? Miami. A&M. That's number 10 and number 19. You may not think Purdue's anything. It's a traditional Big Ten rival, but it's still a game against a Big Ten team. Heck, look how big of a deal the media and everybody made when Tech was playing Purdue. Arkansas on the road in the SEC. Look at those first four games. Number 25, Boise State. Notre Dame's first five games, Miami, Texas A&M, Purdue, Arkansas, and Boise State. I don't give a damn if you're in the SEC, the Big Ten, the Big 12, the ACC. There's nobody else in the nation playing that schedule. Then you get into one of the ACC games that they probably regret that they play, to be honest. They have NC State, although they will be favored in every one of those games. Then comes the annual game against USC. I still wish it were the end of the season. You go to BC. Navy's a traditional game. I love the fact they still play Navy because that game's been there for years. It's great. Navy's very few times ever going to beat them, if even be competitive, but it's nice that they still play that game. That's a cool game to have on. They go to Pitt, Syracuse, and then Stanford. So their ACC games aren't necessarily anything to write home about. There's no Clemson. There's no Florida State, no North Carolina, no Tech, nobody like that. But their other games are pretty impressive. So there's not going to be anybody, if they can kind of filter through that and survive and come away with, 10 wins, there's not going to be any way anybody's going to be able to say, well, they don't play a tough schedule because they're not part of a conference. Don't you think Notre Dame's smart enough to have realized that, by the way? They understand that. That's why they've gone out and they know everybody wants to play them. You think if Notre Dame didn't have to play 5 games against the ACC as part of their deal with their Olympic sports, that was the one thing John Swofford got done that was good. You imagine if Notre Dame were to come to Tech and say, hey, we'd like to let's do a 6-game series. We'll do a 6-game series. We'll do 4 games in South Bend, 2 in Blacksburg. What do you think? How quickly would you sign the papers? Right? How quickly would they sign the papers? But it is what it is. One of the best phrases ever created. It is what it is. But one thing that we just talked about with Jermaine. Have you seen week one? And I had not really until I was looking at it over the weekend. I had not really absorbed it. So this coming Thursday is the next bump we get into college football. Boise State, number 25 in South Florida. I know you're going to look at that and go, but that's going to be a fun game. A fun game. East Carolina, NC State. That'll be an intriguing kind of regional matchup. I like that game. I'm just trying to find good matchups. Nebraska and Cincinnati. That's the late game on ESPN Thursday. How much fun is that? Big 10 against the Big 12 right there. Friday, I don't think there's anything, at least nothing really eye-popping on Friday. Oh, I take that back. You've got Auburn and Baylor on Fox, Georgia Tech, Colorado on ESPN. Georgia Tech going on the road. I think they're going to win that game. How's Dion going to be without his sons and without Travis Hunter? And then Saturday, Texas and Ohio State, really? That's the nooner, by the way, on Fox. Texas and Ohio State. Number 1 versus number 3. Think that's a good game? I think so. Syracuse and Tennessee, Battle of the Oranges, if you will. By the way, Mountaineers have Robert Morris. Go Mountaineers. Penn State's got Nevada, Georgia, and Marshall. Alabama and Florida State. Alabama's 14-point favorites to win in Tallahassee. We'll see. Iowa State's got a tough game at home, you would think. South Dakota's pretty good. Is that the Jackrabbits? Liberty's got Maine, just throwing out some state teams there. Coastal Carolina and Virginia. Virginia's heavy favorites in that game, but that's a game that Tony Elliott needs to get. Weber State, James Madison. Vanderbilt, Tech's second opponent, has got a Big South opponent against Charleston Southern in that first game. LSU and Clemson, oh my goodness, battle of the Tigers. Battle of Death Valleys. LSU going down to Clemson's Death Valley. Clemson 4-point favorites this week. Some nice matchups here in week number 1. Some nice matchups. Trying to see if we get some kind of late night goodness. California and Oregon State. Utah, UCLA, Colorado State, Washington. And then you get to the 2 big games on Sunday. Tech, South Carolina, Notre Dame, Miami. Then Monday, TCU and North Carolina, which is a standalone game for the debut of Bill Belichick. So there's a lot to absorb coming up in the full week number 1. And I think we're going to get a lot more of that going forward, not only for playoff positioning, but we're going to get it for financial positioning, because that's where all this is pointing out. And Bill Roth has described it so well with everything. Eyeballs is resulting into more money, revenue share in the ACC. Now, I don't think the revenue share plan is one that's going to work, because we have a historical perspective with what the Big East tried to do, and it failed miserably. It's traditionally, it has been a last gasp effort by conferences to try to remain relevant. When you're doing the preferred model of revenue, the uneven distribution of revenue because of, what they're earning in terms of TV dollars and so forth. It means more now in the ACC because they've announced that's how it's going to go. It didn't work in the Big East. More money at stake now. Does it work? I have my doubts. because I don't care what they say going forward, this league knows that the next contract is why everybody's talking about it. At the next contract, TV deals, that's when you're going to see things happen. I don't believe for 1 minute that the SEC is uninterested in expanding. I don't believe it at all. I know more has been very, very ahead of the curve in terms of their financial planning. Big Ten the same way. They're going to do whatever the SEC is doing. My own thought, and this isn't fact, this is just my opinion, just like you have an opinion. I believe the SEC and the Big Ten, we know they're conspiring to dominate the future playoff when it goes to 16 teams, which it will, so they can each have at least, 4 teams guaranteed, which means more of this, a lot more of this. I believe that they even have conversations about membership. I believe it 100%. Just call me crazy. I think they're so united behind the scenes, more than we know of, that they probably talk about, who would you think fits your blueprint? What makes sense for you and what makes sense for us? If we both do this, we're going to pretty much have this thing in hand, aren't we? Yeah, we are. Because they know they can't separate from each other, or they could, but then you're banging heads against one another. It's like two conglomerates, right? That's why Google and Apple has a piece of everything. That's why Disney bought up all these entertainment properties. They've destroyed them all these brands. They destroyed Star Wars. They've destroyed Marvel now. They've destroyed everything. But when I told you that, Black Rock and Vanguard owns all this stuff, it's kind of what the SEC and the Big Ten are combining to do. There's no point in competing against each other anymore, because why don't we just go ahead and share the wealth? And that's what they're doing. And I do. I believe it. I believe it goes over to what goes on in terms of membership. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but just people I talk to, they seem to have an awful big knowledge about each other, about what they're doing. Big Ten people that I know what's going on in the SEC about every day. And I don't think that's an accident. I don't think you just hear things. It sounds like these are things that are going on. But that's just the way it is. The power brokers of it all. And that's fine. That's fine. The ACC and the Big 12 have to figure it out. Big 12's positioned themselves pretty well. And I think they're always looking to expand. That's why I think there's so many teams in the ACC they would gobble up immediately. Talking about the Big 12 now, not. And I know it doesn't seem like the same conversation we were having 3 or 4 years ago with trying to add teams to get better TV deals when things are locked in, but they're coming up again. See, that's why it's all centered around the new contract bump that's coming up. Wes says he thinks Notre Dame will be 0-2 out of the gate and go 8-4 and not make the playoff. We'll see. I mean, it's a tough schedule. New quarterback there. I mean, they're going to have to play well early, kind of set the tone. Went through their first 5 games, man. That's tough. Week in, week out. That's not easy. So it could happen. It could happen. It could go just like you're saying it's going to go. I could see that. But in any event, make sure, please, if you don't get to watch this show live in the mornings, I really love having so many people here in the chat room and on the text line. But we get a lot of people who go back later and they watch pieces. They fast forward to the parts they want. It's great. It's what I do on YouTube. But please go in and tell people to subscribe. Remind them it's free. I mean, if you want the show to stay around, we got to get the subscription base to a certain level. It's grown well in the first 2. Now this is week 3, but we need it to keep bumping upwards. That's not me just saying that. That's what I know from the people I talk to that run YouTube for live programs. So I'm going to share with you all the things that I know about, that I'm learning about. Not that I know about, but that I'm learning about as we go forward. Mike Burnett tomorrow on the program. David Smith. Some other stuff going on early. We'll let you know about. And we might have a really cool thing. Wednesdays are always cool, but we might have a really cool thing happening on Wednesday. I should be able to find out enough information to tell you about it tomorrow if it happens here on the program. So that's, so yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Time now to run down once again. Mega thanks, because local sponsorship is enormous to this startup of the show. And I appreciate all the help that we have gotten from local folks. The first folks who jumped on board with us here on the program was Family Fencing. And appreciate Jason Green and the crew. Family Fencing. Down there, you see it, 540-200-8294, familyfencingnrv.com. Doesn't matter the kind of fence you want. They'll find it, put it up for you, the materials you want. There's no mess. They give you free quotes. They have payment plans. Call them, 540-200-8294. And do it today, won't you? Please, do it today. Made a big announcement when we were starting out the show today, the latest sponsor to jump on board with us. Very excited to have the National Bank as the exclusive banking partner of BDST. Thanks to Lara Ramsey and her crew. And they're going to be sponsors of our 4th and Goal show. We're going to have a local athlete of the week, and I need you as a community to help out with that. Send it to me on the text line. You can email me. You can DM me, whatever you want to do. I'd like for it to be centered around high school kids, but if it's something like, for instance, if a Tech football player or Radford athlete has an enormous week, we're going to nominate them as well. And the National Bank's going to sponsor that because they're all about the community. That's why they're sponsoring the high school show. So it's going to be our National Bank Star Athlete of the Week from a local perspective. I'm not going to do it from a national perspective. But I've been with them they've been my bank for 30 years, I guess you could say. So, yeah, mega thanks to them for jumping on board. So proud every day to come on and say that we're presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Jonathan Sweet, Tim, all those folks, and I can't wait to get into the things that they're doing. The aggressiveness they have in rebuilding the county from a sports and marketing standpoint. It's exciting when you talk to them and hear about all the projects and everything. So that's going to be fun to tell you about all that stuff as we go along. So it's BDST presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment, and I'm very proud of that. Very honored to have that. That's where I grew up. Pulaski County dude. That's where I grew up. Little River Heating and Air. Can't say enough about Charles Lee and his crew. I only endorse the things that I believe in and the things that I've used. And these folks are the best in the business. I couldn't have been more stressed when I came back from a basketball trip and my heat was off. Tried to turn it on and it would struggle to come on. And then you realize, hey, that's just blowing out cold air, but it's 36 degrees outside. Turn it off. Me and my son walk around the house. We were bundled up 2 days, cold, called Charles. Boom, he assessed it. Yeah, your units are shot. Looks like they got struck by lightning. We had a couple bad thunderstorms when I was gone. Neighbor came over and said, yeah, we heard something. It sounded like it hit your house. And they opened it up. It was fried. That's exactly what had happened. They assessed it and they had it fixed fairly quickly. So thank you to them. Ryan Pry, thank you. He sponsors our fan question of the week, 701 West Main Street in Radford. Call him up, 540-838-2233. I think this week's question, what do you think? Hit me up. You can send it to the BDST text line. When you were watching college football growing up, what was your favorite game to watch? Doesn't have to be a Tech game. Doesn't have to be a UVA game. Like if you just turned it on, what was your favorite game to watch? It doesn't have to involve your team. Just trying to think of regional games. I always loved, and I wasn't a fan, but, Oklahoma and Texas. Then it was the Red River Shootout. Now it's the Red River Rivalry. As you know, changing the name Shootout, exchanging that for rivalry has really lessened violence in this country by 33%. Michigan, Ohio State, all that stuff. And that's going to be our question of the week. That's what we're going to do. And we want to thank Mark Hundley and his crew at McClellan Chiropractic, sponsors of our chat room. If you get older, you know what I mean. You break, and you kind of need to be popped here and there and everywhere. And Mark and his crew will assess what you need, give you a plan, not just go in there and do it and say, oh, you're on your way. See you next week. Here's what you kind of need to do to make sure you stay healthy. And they're great at that. So go see McClellan Chiropractic. Wayne says Nebraska and Oklahoma. Yeah, it was, man. Wishbone against wishbone, right? Tom Osborne, Barry Switzer. Yeah, you're right. You were going to watch that game. Yeah, you were going to sit and watch that game. Keith Jackson. Whew. How about any game with Keith Jackson as the primary broadcaster I was going to watch? Yeah. The greatest of all time. We have been very fortunate in our lifetime as sports fans, most of us. God rest their souls. Vin Scully, the greatest baseball play-by-play announcer, storyteller ever. Been a lot of great ones. And Keith Jackson. Keith Jackson was and still is college football. I always get chills. If you go to YouTube and you just call up Keith Jackson intros and calls or whatever, and you hear that voice, man, you realize how much you miss it. Nobody's replaced him. Nobody can replace him. And there's some good announcers out there. Some good voices out there, but those guys are bigger than life. Rose Bowl broadcasts with Keith Jackson. Didn't matter who his analyst was, and he usually had, someone pretty solid. The best, just the absolute best. You didn't even care. You just wanted to hear Keith Jackson call the game. That's right, Hokey Bob. A whale of a ball game. Yeah, so good. So good. But that's a good question from Ryan Pry. PryLawOffice.com. Just the college football games that you watched, whether it was a rivalry or whether it was not. Usually it had to be tied into some kind of rivalry. That's a good call, though, Wayne, on Oklahoma, Nebraska. Yeah. There was a lot to that. David says, Notre Dame, Miami. You're right. The Holtz, Jimmy Johnson era. Catholics versus the convicts, right? Like Bill Roth pointed out, they should have that they should recreate that for the game on Sunday night. Man, what a massive opportunity for the ACC on Sunday, right? Let's go through it, shall we? All right, so they're already off to a bad start with the Hawaii last-second field goal. They beat Stanford. Now, NC State's 12-point favorites to beat East Carolina. They should be okay. Duke will beat Elon. I hear more people telling me Duke's going to be the breakout team in the ACC. Okay, let's see. Maybe they are. Wake Forest has Kennesaw State. Wake's not supposed to be very good, but they should handle Kennesaw. And here's another opportunity on Friday night now. Georgia Tech going to Colorado. I don't care that Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter are gone. You're going on the road. You're going to Boulder, Folsom Field. Ralphie the Buffalo going to be running through there, frothing. Jackets got a chance to make a statement for the ACC. Syracuse at Tennessee. You don't expect that to go in the way of Syracuse, but it's the first game. Tennessee 13.5-point favorites. Duquesne and Pitt. Now, it's a regional game. I get why you're playing it. It's not exciting. Same thing with Fordham and Boston College. Eastern Kentucky and Louisville. Again, regionality. Okay. Alabama. Florida State. Obviously, massive opportunity. Coastal Carolina, Virginia, LSU, and Clemson. Got to get that done, right? Clemson, got to get that done. And I think every ACC fan, I know you're not maybe a big Clemson fan. You need them to win. You need if you want your conference not to always be talked about as the fourth team in the Power Four and just kind of an afterthought, those are the games you have to win. And it's hard to believe, but yes, the California-Oregon State game is an ACC. Then, of course, you have Sunday. Tech, South Carolina, and Notre Dame, Miami. By the way, Notre Dame 2.5-point favorites traveling to Hard Rock. And then TCU, North Carolina. And Horned Frogs are 3-point favorites. I can't believe that they're 3-point favorites. My girlfriend told me that we would be favored, and we're not. So maybe she can change that. Hi, I'm Bill Belichick. I'm thrilled to have you here for game one of my collegiate head coaching career, my debut. Did I mention I have a 25-year-old girlfriend? I won a lot of games with Tom Brady. We won a lot of championships. But I think my biggest win is me to look at the camera and not invite you to the big game against TCU, but to remind you that I have a 25-year-old girlfriend. I'm Bill Belichick. Go Heels. Actual footage from an actual PSA they're running right now in Chapel Hill. That may or may not be true. I will tell you this on Wednesday's program, the director of athletics at James Madison, Matt Rohn, will join us on the show. That is happening. Might be something else really cool, though, leading in. Just saying. What's great about this new format is, you can move things. The pieces are easily to move around. That's true, Wayne. The text line, BDSC text line, he could come on and say, my cutoff T-shirt is older than my girlfriend. That whole thing's bizarre. Just from the fact when he tried to do that interview and she was back there like controlling it and screaming in the background. That was weird. But it is, as they say, what it is. But yeah, big weekend for the ACC, obviously. And you can say that about all these conferences, but it's pretty large. It's pretty large. And they're not off to a good start at all. But, this is it. This is the best time of the year. And this is what I was saying. I'm very happy that I'm excited about college football still, given everything that's going on in college athletics, especially in college football. That makes it better. In 2 weeks, we'll have the NFL. Tomorrow they announce, I guess they finalize their rosters. All the cuts will be made. You'll hear them throughout the day. There'll probably be 2 or 3 big trades made. But pretty soon we're going to be back with the trifecta. Actually, it's 4 days now, and sometimes it's more. You're going to have Thursday night college football, high school. Unfortunately, you're going to have college football on Fridays going forward. It's not going away. And my heart is with all the people and with all the high schoolers where it takes away from their night. But it's not the reality of the finances we live in. I get it. Don't like it, but I get it. But you got Thursday, you got Friday, college football day Saturday, then you got NFL and Sunday. It's all going to be here. Monday. It's the best time of the year. And I generally thought with everything that transpired in the last year or so and where things were headed, I thought I would be going into college football this year and be like, okay. But I'm not. I'm generally excited, and I'm very happy that I feel that way. Like it was really excited to watch Iowa State and Kansas State. Like I know it have no personal affiliation, but it's the first game. It's a conference game. Those kids left it out there on the line, man. It was packed out there. The field was sold out. Green grass. I was very excited. I even stayed up and watched the Stanford-Hawaii game. Hawaii wouldn't go away. And Stanford threw the pick. And Hawaii gets it right down the field and has the walk-off field goal. End of the night. I watched a little bit of Kansas. Jalen Daniels looks strong. Quarterback. He's back for his 33rd year of college football. Feels like it. Didn't watch any UNLV Idaho State, and I didn't watch very much. I did turn it on just to kind of get the vibe for Western Kentucky and Sam Houston. You know, on Thursday, I'll watch some of Boise, and there's a lot of games on Thursday you can flip around and find. I'll watch some of that East Carolina NC State game. I want to see how that goes. That won't be an easy game for the Wolfpack. Won't be an easy game. But it is the best time of the year. I think it's amazing to me to see what's happened in the last, 20, 30 years and how we've changed. This was such a baseball-dominated country for so many years. America's pastime through the early part of the 20th century. Baseball got people through the Depression, got them through the World Wars, even though some of the big stars like Ted Williams fought and others carried through the 60s. Massive baseball just kept growing and growing throughout the 70s. And then, the NFL started to find its way. And then in the 80s, started to see a little bit of a change. And then when the 90s hit, and what doomed baseball forever was when they canceled the 94 season. We didn't have a World Series because of the lockout. And then after that, the subsequent steroid era that was allowed to take place. And all we were lied to by everybody. And people got so into the Sosa McGuire home run race, those guys would take off their shirts and look like they were twice the size of Arnold Schwarzenegger. We probably should have pieced it together at that point. Something was going on. Baseball has not recovered from any of that. And now it's run by an absolute moron who wants to eliminate both the American and National League titles. Yeah, that's a guy that really has the game's best interest at heart. Rob Manfred has been, of all the shady commissioners they've had, he's been by far the worst they've ever had. NBA is really a non-factor. I know for some reason networks are divvying out money at a record clip to broadcast their games, but the ratings are down across the board the last 7 years. Nobody's watching the NBA anymore, especially the finals. LeBron James has not had a positive impact on taking this league to any kind of level but his own personal gain. There's always going to be the idiotic debate. Did you see what Oscar Robinson said, by the way? The Big O. When people want to continue to debate this because, well, that's what they do, I guess. Oscar Robinson said this: the greatest of all time debate should have been buried years ago. This is Oscar Robinson, the Big O, one of the all-time players in the history of the NBA. Michael Jordan is the undisputed king. There's no asterisk, no debate. LeBron, he puts a question mark. He was never in that conversation to begin with. Built with media hype, protected by narratives, and carried by marketing machines. He's flash without forever. When he retires, so does that illusion. Jordan left a legacy. LeBron is just a long moment in the game history. The day another Jordan walks this earth, I'll admit it. Until then, let's stop insulting true greatness with comparisons. Oscar friggin' Robertson. Yes. NBA is lost in the wilderness. They got caught up in politics. They got caught up in race baiting. They pushed all narratives away except for things they got involved in because of their horrible commissioner. NHL is a great sport, but it's never going to have the traction outside of the cities that house teams. The NFL is really kind of uncontested right now. Yeah, I don't trust me. When I have Keon on Wednesday, we're going to read him that statement. Nobody's denying that LeBron James is a great basketball player and the best of his generation. It's not the greatest of all time. I can think of 4 players without even thinking about it that are better than him. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson. That's just 4. Larry Bird, there's 5. This whole thing, and think about, you know how you know it's not real? None of those other guys gave a damn or had anything behind them always reminding people they're the greatest. Jordan, it spoke for itself. You had no choice but to just look at it and go, yup. I mean, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar created a shot that no one's been able to replicate. It was unblockable, the sky hook. He changed the game forever for post players. Magic Johnson was a 6'9" point guard. What? First of his kind, one of one. And Kobe Bryant. His humbleness made his greatness, I think we took it for granted. Great player. And then Larry Bird, I think the best passer along everything else in the history of the game. But you didn't have any of those guys constantly trying to remind you. And I know it was before the age of these things. Look, there's my kitty. See, that's my boy. There's a kitten. See? It's right shortly after I brought him home when the moron threw him and his brothers and sisters out on the road. Don't get me started on the kind of people it would take to do something like that. But in any event, the narrative didn't have to be pushed. We just watched it, and it happened naturally. Since LeBron got in the league, it's been pushed. He was on the cover of Sports Illustrated when he was, 17 or 18? And then ESPN gets involved in their whole agenda. Constantly being told comparison of eras, which you can't really do. But all you can do is just open your eyes and watch it. I don't know. Question on our McClellan Chiropractic chat line. Who is the face of the NBA now? Do you still consider it to be LeBron? None of these new stars have panned out like they hoped. At least in this country. Nikola Jokic, been the best player in the world for a long time. Is he the face of the NBA? Was Giannis the face of the NBA? Is Wemby going to be the face of the NBA? Luka Doncic, is he going to be? No. Is it going to be Cooper Flagg? No, it's not. It's not. That era is not going to come back. That was an era you just appreciated at the time, but it's gone because the NBA was still in a growth spurt. And then Michael Jordan took it to a worldwide level, which is why you have this international competition now, and why you have so many great players, and why the NBA influence is being, all the best parts of that is being conducted on a year in, year out basis in all these other countries in the professional leagues. And yet here, the NBA seems to have lost its way, and it's almost an unwatchable product. It's some of the worst basketball you're ever going to see, and it's because nobody cares. The guys who play it don't care. They don't play defense. They want to take off, a third of the season. They say they're owed that because of load management. You might spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars, hell, in some cases, thousands of dollars to go watch a team play because they got a mega star, and you find out, oh, he's load managing this game. Sorry. The league's lost its way under Silver. He's terrible. And they don't care because they're still signing record TV deals when nobody's watching. NBA schedule release came out with a whimper. ESPN tried to plug it for a day and push it. It went away. Nobody remembers it, and nobody cares. Nobody cares about the Christmas ABC ESPN 5-game matchup anymore. If we ever did. Who cares? Players don't care. Players don't care. Why would the fans care? Yeah, the next Michael Jordan's never coming in the NBA. That's not happening. That was a once in a lifetime thing. The way that setup went, David Stern was the commissioner. The league was about done in the late 70s. People forget that. The NBA almost folded. It's hard to believe. You think about it now. NBA was really, really, really struggling. Then you had the merger with some of the ABA team. And then you had the magic of the 79 NCAA basketball tournament game between Magic and Larry Bird, Michigan State, Indiana State. The hick from French Lick. Michigan State won the game. They had a much better team, but there they were. So Bird and Magic came into the NBA and saved the league all by themselves. Saved the NBA. And then they developed a friendship amongst their rivalry. Celtics, Lakers, beating the hell out of each other in the finals. The way God intended. The NBA could not have been thriving, building anymore at that time. And then here comes this guy to North Carolina. So you went from that to the next era, and it just kind of flowed seamlessly, right? John Stockton, Charles Barkley, Clyde the Glide Drexler, Hakeem Olajuwon. Then you took it into the early 90s with Shaq, Kobe, Karl Malone, all those guys. The league was on fire. And then you got toward the end of Kobe and Shaq and all that. And here comes LeBron, but then the league just hasn't. It's been gone. The bad boys. Celtics and Pistons fights. Lakers and Pistons fights. Everybody hated Isaiah Thomas. And then finally, recognizing where things were headed, the Olympic Committee decided to lift the restriction on Americans being able to play their pros when every other country was already doing that. And then here comes the Dream Team, the greatest team in the history of organized sport then or ever. And then the world took notice, and basketball, led by the NBA, exploded onto a situation that we've never seen before, and we'll never see it again. And it happened because of one guy, Michael Jordan. And Nike, to their credit, saw that before anybody else and signed into that shoe deal. And the rest is history. We're not going to see that again. Not going to be any more Elvis Presleys or Michael Jacksons in the entertainment industry. Not going to happen. So to continue to forcefully hear about how LeBron is challenging Jordan, no, he never has and he never will. He's never had that impact. Has he had an impact? Absolutely he has. Has he inspired younger generations of boys and then young men and even women and girls? Sure he has. Is his shoe line popular? Absolutely. Does he sell merch? You better believe it. Is he a draw at arenas? Without question. But it's still not in the same ballpark as Michael Jordan and what he meant during that time, his time. And I hope we do. I hope we get back to it. The league's been written off before. Like I said, it was ready to fold. It was in a lot of trouble. And then those guys, they came and they fixed it. And I don't see that on the horizon coming out of college because guys are one and done. They're just trying to get there so quickly. They're not thinking about the league at the next level. And then when you get a player who is great, like Nikola Jokic, you have people saying he shouldn't win the MVP because of this and that. And they take it away, and then they give MVPs to other people. Yes, I'm looking at you, Joel Embiid, the most undeserving MVP that I can remember of any sport, because they didn't want Jokic to win it 3 straight years because of reasons. But the NFL is just in a place that no other league today can be in and never will be again. National Football League controls all. They know it, and it's kind of they need to be humbled somehow. I don't know how that's going to happen. TV ratings are skyrocketing, sold-out stadiums and preseason games, more games being added overseas. It's picking up interest internationally. Thursday night ratings are exploding. It seems to be an unstoppable juggernaut right now. And the separation is so large that I don't think it'll ever fall back to the rest of the professional sports league. The only thing in this country that rivals it is college football. And now college football is professional football. Right? Wayne says, I would argue on our BDST text line that Caton Clark and Angel Reese are more known than the second biggest NBA star. I won't disagree with you. You might be right. Yeah, you might be right. For all the wrong reasons, because the WNBA has just sabotaged itself and they don't seem to care. A league that loses $50 million annually demanding that they want to make similar money to the NBA that's funding them. You talk about lack of self-awareness and how tech fans, and we all hope Kyron Drones lives his new self-awareness. The WNBA has none. They have no clue what they're doing. And that league's going to continue to flounder. It's going to continue to lose money because they decided to go ahead and they had their meal ticket, they had their golden goose, and they decided just to go ahead and completely shoot it down and destroy it. And it's mind-boggling that it continues to go on. Mind-boggling. We're going to continue to go on. Great Monday. Appreciate the interaction. A lot of fun. Thanks for Jermaine Ferrell. I hope Damian Sordelet starts feeling better. Couldn't join us today. Thanks for hitting up in the chat room. Thanks to all of our sponsors. And tomorrow we got a good show here on Tuesday. Please, again, go through and like and subscribe. Please watch, even if for just a little while. Hit the like button and tell your friends it's free to subscribe. We don't charge a dime, never will. But we got to get the numbers going. We can pull this off here in our area. We can. Thanks for helping us get off to a great start on this Monday. It's great to be able to talk to everybody. Thanks for joining us in the chat room and also in our McClellan Chiropractic chat room and also on our text line. Hope you have a great day. It's football season, folks. Yeah. We'll be talking about it all week. Godspeed, safe travels, and we'll see you tomorrow. So long, everybody. Thanks for watching. Go watch us again later.